It's another Thunder Thursday on News OK Live. I'm Mike Sherman, sports editor of the Oklahoman, joined by a good portion of our Thunder coverage team. From my left, beat writer Anthony Slater, columnist Jenny Carlson, columnist Barry Trammell, joining us by remote from New Orleans today, Thunder beat writer Eric Horn.
I hope he's in New Orleans.
You there yet, Eric?
I am here.
Yay.
Guys, the NBA's biggest show comes to town Saturday night. Golden State Warriors, Chesapeake Energy Arena, which it's the history-making tour, Anthony. So it's time for us to sort of get on the record. 72 wins is the record for the NBA. Most, the Chicago Bulls did it. Over, under.
I'm still going to go under, but it's becoming less and less ridiculous by the day to think over as a possibility. I mean, they're on this long road trip right now, which is going to close up in Oklahoma City, and you keep thinking they're going to lose games. The Heat went up, I think, 12 on them in Miami yesterday. Nobody was playing well, but then Curry hits a pair of ridiculous threes late in the game. They're just finding ways to win almost every game. What are they at now? 5 losses?
56-5.
So,
51.
The more I think about it, I mean, over might be.
Are you rethinking your
answer
answer already?
I think they're going to go 72-10. I think they're going to go 72-10, and that's not over or under, I guess.
That's a push.
That's true.
Jenny.
That's true. I'm going over. I mean, I know it seems preposterous that in today's NBA you're talking about a team that could do something like this, because I really do think there are more good teams sort of within striking distance of the Warriors than probably some other years, like maybe the year that the Bulls did win that many. But still, these guys, it just takes a moment, like you said, Anthony. I mean, they were floundering, and then all of a sudden they win that ball game, and that's how they can score, and that's how fast it can happen. I think that there's too many chances that will happen instead of the other, that they would have a game where they would all sort of be off and not be able to win.
What's interesting to me, they get the Thunder twice, they get the Clippers once, but then their last 4 games of the season when they could either be chasing it, but do they want to rest? A lot of things could be going on. They go San Antonio, Memphis, San Antonio, Memphis. Those are their last 4 games, 2 against each of those teams. I think a lot of it has to do with how San Antonio played in those last games and how are the Warriors playing it, because they've talked all season. They don't care about 73. They're worried about a back-to-back title.
Well, I would say I think they're going to go over because they want to go over. I think they do want to win 73. I think their attitude and the proclamations, I think they show that they do want to chase history. And the truth of the matter is they're a little bit susceptible to off nights because they are such a talented team and got players that can do so many things across the board. So I think they get to 73. The Bulls weren't trying to get to 72. The record in 1996 was 69. Yeah. So if they wanted, I don't remember if they wanted the record. I assume they did, as Michael Jordan. He was trying to get to 70. So, I think they want to get to 73, so I think they will.
Eric, how about you? Is 75 out of whack?
75, maybe. I mean, I think 72 or 73 is doable. Again, as Anthony said, depends on what they're going to be looking like going into that last stretch with San Antonio and Memphis. And I mean, they're going to be wanting to play. They're going to be wanting to play well going into the playoffs. But frankly, they could be playing not so well going into the playoffs and still smoke whoever's going to be the 8th seed. So yeah, I think it's doable. Not 75, maybe 73, 72.
I'm going to ask Mr. Math, Barry Trammell, what pace are they on right now?
I have not figured it up, but they're over 90. So I mean, they're on pace to 74. I think
they're 51-5, and to go 72-10, they'd have to go 21-5, and they're already 51-5. So I mean, they're clearly on pace to beat it. But there's tough games, including 2 against the Thunder. Probably have a lot to do with if they do get the record.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing to think about. You mentioned the Spurs, 2 of the last 4. That's a team that may not be playing. The Spurs.
Right. I see it way more possible that the Spurs are sitting guys to rest than the other way around.
So it's possible we could be seeing a record-breaking game on ESPN that's Boban Marjanovic against Festus Ezeli, and those are the
You just
stars
wanted to
of the
say
game.
those guys' names, didn't you?
I was pretty good.
That was pretty good. It was.
Well, the Thunder could have a lot to say about this, so why don't we talk about the Thunder? Saturday night's game. It's a different look than Oklahoma City took with them out to Oakland. I speak of Andre Roberson, or I think his last name is Robertson.
Robertson.
Anyway.
Randy Foy, too.
Anyway,
Yeah, Randy Foy.
what's the difference? Andre Roberson means blank to this Thunder team.
19 solid minutes, probably. I mean, probably, I think underrated nationally his importance, but I do think, especially with what happened the last week or so, a little overrated locally. I think the Warriors. It might not matter in a Saturday night game where the Warriors are really going to attack them, but I think in a series with the Warriors, just like we saw with Tony Allen last year, it's what we keep talking about. The Warriors played him off the floor by putting Bogut on him and just funneling the ball towards Tony Allen. I don't think Robertson's going to be jacking him up with the confidence Tony Allen had, but I don't know how playable Robertson will be in a series. He'll matter. I mean, I think it's good to throw him on Klay Thompson to start the game, maybe even Curry for stretches, but he's not going to play more than 20, 25 minutes.
But it's valuable minutes. He's an extra body,
Yeah.
especially they got the
sure.
small ball lineup that they love, use most of the time. He's he's a 6'7" guy with athletic ability on the wing. So you can't have enough of those guys against Golden State.
I'll tell you what, it's probably going to be pretty important that he hits maybe, 1 or 2 threes at some point, because he's going to be wide open for threes like he was in Dallas last night. He actually hit one from the wing. So, I mean, those are going to be big. Every point is important against the Warriors, and he's going to have open ones.
Well, and even if he only plays, even if he only plays that 15 or 20 minutes, if he's guarding, whether it's Klay Thompson, Curry, whoever, that's 15 or 20 minutes that a Durant, a Westbrook, somebody like that doesn't have to guard him. So to me, it may not be many minutes, but I think those are pretty valuable minutes. And, another thing, I just think Saturday, the fact that, that first game in California was the first time that Cantor was with this group against the Warriors, and we got to see what a difference he could make, which ended up being pretty significant. Got them out of that small ball lineup.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, and now here's another matchup where the Thunder yet throws another piece at them. It's kind of interesting how this is playing out. Sort of different Thunder teams each time they play the Warriors. I don't think we're coming to that again the third time, but
Eric, I'm going to give Jenny up. She got the cheat sheet in advance, and she already skipped ahead.
Sorry.
So, Enes Kanter, does he tilt the court a little bit for the Thunder?
Well, we've seen that he can. Is it going to tilt back on top of him when the Warriors are running at him on defense in the pick and roll? Yeah, it could tilt both ways, but it'll be momentarily. I don't think it'll be something that'll be sustainable for a series. Maybe there'll be an Enes Kanter game if they do get locked up in a series. Maybe there'll be an Enes Kanter quarter and a half this Saturday or in the game next week in Golden State again. But there's always that defensive side too, and it could tilt right back in his face. So I guess the Thunder will be happy being able to have the game tilted in their favor with Enes Kanter on the floor at any time. As long as you can have him out there and him be playable and effective, that's got to be good for the Thunder.
Anthony, you were there. Golden State wasn't able to make them pay defensively.
Well, that's kind of like the chess game here. Is look, Kanter's going to be impactful offensively, especially when the Warriors go small. Because I think he had 15 rebounds in like 19 minutes. But the Thunder's goal is to try to hide him, and the Warriors' goal is to try to find him. And the way Billy Donovan, I thought, was pretty smartly hit him is when the Warriors went small, he put him on Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala, guys that are more slashers. They're not in the pick and roll. They're not kind of part of the ball. And the Warriors, it's kind of a tough choice for the Warriors because it's late in the game, and they want Steph Curry and Draymond Green running that pick and roll, but that means that they're not attacking the weak link on the defense. So, that does allow. I think that's what allows them to play Kanter for minutes. But I think we all know if closing the game, if it's close, the Thunder are either going with Durant and Ibaka as the 4 or 5, or Ibaka and Adams. I don't think Kanter will close.
And we know this. We know one of Golden State's few weaknesses is a really good big man on the other side. We saw Mozgov, who's an okay player, but not an all-star.
Right, yeah.
He hurt the Thunder. He hurt the Warriors in the NBA Finals. Yeah. The Thunder's got 2 guys that can do that with Kanter and Adams. So the Thunder is not going into this. They're not going into this matchup with the Warriors completely overmatched. They've got things they can hit Golden State with. Golden State's just got more weapons, but the Thunder has weapons too.
Yeah, and I think, you ask about tilting the floor, Mike, and to me, I still think, what we saw in that first Warriors game, and I suspect what we'll see again on Saturday night, is that Thunder still has 2 pretty good bullets in the gun with Durant and Westbrook, and I'm not real sure that the Warriors have much answer for those two guys. I mean, they're still. How do you guard Kevin Durant? I mean,
They
do they
never
have?
have.
Yeah, they just don't have. They have great defensive players and guys that play pretty good defense, but they just don't have a Kevin Durant matchup that is really, really good. So, I think that's still got to be a concern for the Warriors.
That is the kind of the funny thing is I think on paper, if you picked a team that had the best ability to guard Kevin Durant, it'd probably be the Warriors. Andre Iguodala, Draymond
Right.
Green can go big, Harrison Barnes. I mean, they got some options.
They got options,
but
yeah.
options are not. I mean, he's roasted them every time he's played them, including the last. I think he had 40 in Oracle last month.
Yeah,
We'd have
good.
to say that the Thunder's got a better chance of beating the Warriors than it does having to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers after we saw last Sunday night,
No,
right?
I don't know if there's any doubt about it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know. I think if
You were there on Sunday, right?
Yeah, I know I was, but I mean, the Thunder played way harder in Oracle than they played in Chesapeake on Sunday. I'll just say that. But I think if they were lining up in a series tomorrow, and I think the Thunder would have a better chance to beat the Cavs than they would the Warriors. I'm not saying I'd pick them in either, but I just think the Cavs are just a worse team.
And I don't mean to digress too far off the Warriors, but watching the Cavs, and you guys were there in person too, as I was,
Yeah.
seeing LeBron reminds you of how fantastic he is. I mean, it's just, he's so smooth, he's so controlled, defensively really good, offensively can, just have a flurry almost of points in such a, rapid succession. And again, he's largely playing with the Timothy Mozgovs of the league. I mean, Kyrie has the flu. He's gone, or we found out later the bed bugs. Eric might want to talk about that.
Quote. Flu.
But
Flu-like symptoms.
yeah, but I mean, it's crazy that the amount of I don't know if help is the right word that he gets out of guys just with the way he's able to play and the attention he's allowed to command. It's pretty remarkable.
Well, he's made Kevin Love. He's fully inflated Kevin Love, especially on Sunday. Eric, let's go back to you. Early returns on Randy Foye. We've seen him a couple games now. Looked like last night he was taking a lot of Cameron Payne's minutes.
Yeah, I feel good about the Foye acquisition so far. I mean, he hasn't taken anything off the table as far as, being able to come in and contribute. I don't think they were expecting him to be a guy that was going to just bust down the door and be a starter for him at shooting guard. But Cameron Payne stunk last night, and Foye came in and did well, hit some shots when the Thunder really weren't shooting that well from three. In the first half, I think they were like 5 of 17, and Foye had 2 of those. So, I mean, he's a veteran presence. They talk about his leadership all the time. He's going to be some Dion Waiters insurance because we're not going to get the same kind of Dion Waiters we had against the Mavericks every night for the rest of the season. We know that. So I think he's a good pickup. And, I mean, there may be more to come with this Joe Johnson buyout coming from the Nets. So we'll see about
Don't
that.
excite the fans over there. Don't excite the fans.
This just
Sorry.
in. Well, let's talk about Joe Johnson.
All right.
Anthony, does that sound like something that's going to happen?
No. First of all, I don't think Joe Johnson is going to come here. I don't think he wants to come here. I mean, although it's probably one of his better options out there. It sounds like the Cavaliers are probably the most likely. He still has to figure out the buyout, and from what I'm hearing, it seems very unlikely. Although he would potentially be a fit. I just don't see it.
Is it Barry? Is it just playing with LeBron? Is that
Well,
when
if you look-
when you get a chance to do that, you just don't.
Well,
say
you
no?
look at the history, the veteran players are attracted to LeBron. The Mike Millers, the Ray Allens, that crowd. They migrate to LeBron because they, first of all, the best ticket to the NBA Finals this year is to be on the Cleveland Cavaliers. As great as the Warriors are, they've got a couple of hurdles. Cleveland hurdles not nearly as what Golden State's going to have to face. So your best ticket to the NBA Finals is with Cleveland. You know you're going to be able to play a solid game with LeBron's not going to let things get out of control. He knows how to play. He'll give you the ball. It's just lots of reasons to want to play with LeBron James.
Yeah, he lets other guys shoot. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Sunday. J.R. Smith's out there throwing them up. So I mean, LeBron's not afraid of letting other guys shoot. And yeah, I mean, you've seen the Mike Millers have those great breakout moments where they win a game. And I could see Joe Johnson being that type of guy where he maybe doesn't do anything for a couple games, but then lo and behold, he gets hot and they find him, and he might win a game or even a series for him.
Joe Johnson saw what Richard Jefferson did to the Thunder a few days ago, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going there. I'm play over that guy."
That's a good point.
It seems like LeBron's more of a behind-the-scenes recruiter too than Durant or Westbrook or just the Thunder organization. I mean, there was a story, I think it was Cleveland.com had like a week ago that said Joe Johnson. There was already rumors that if he got bought out, he'd go there. I mean, it just seems like I said, there's just more under the radar feelers out there by LeBron. He lets guys know, hey, we want you here, which I don't think Russell Westbrook's calling Joe Johnson right now and letting him know, hey, we need you.
Well, and I mean, if you're Joe Johnson, don't you look at the Thunder and say the chance to get shots with that team is less than with the Cavs? I mean, he's a shooter. He wants to shoot the ball.
ISO Joe.
I assume
which
he's
would fit the Thunder offense beautifully. If I'm Joe Johnson, and his number one goal is play on a contending team and get minutes. I mean, the Thunder's one of the top options, maybe the top option, just because of their hole at the wing right now.
Yeah.
But I just think there's a lot more to it than that, and that's why I don't think he's coming here.
Let's wrap it up here. You talked about contending team. Here's the question. Is the Thunder the best of the pretenders or the least of the contenders? Barry?
I will say least of the contenders. I mean, I think if you're going to ask me to draw a line to where the NBA standings, I think you group the Thunder in with Cleveland, San Antonio, and Golden State. I mean, I think they're an elite team.
Yeah.
Bad luck that you got two historically great starts by Golden State and San Antonio, but I think the Thunder's more in that class than they are down with Toronto, Clippers, Boston, whoever else.
And yet, tucked away in Anthony's five things or five observations, he says more likely they get passed by the Clippers than they move up and pass the Spurs.
Well, I mean,
so where do you rank them?
I rank them ahead of the Clippers. I'd rank them within the contenders. Look, if you told me right now that the Thunder won if you were a future Mike Sherman, you said the Thunder won the title, I'd be like, okay, like I'm surprised, but okay, that could happen. If you even told me the Clippers won the title, I'd be like, really, really surprised.
Yeah.
But like, okay, I can see a path to that. Beyond that, which is where I think you draw the line, contender, pretender. There's nobody else in the league you could tell me won the title. Maybe, I guess the Raptors just because they're in the East, but
Well, I mean, they don't have to play very well to get to the East
Yeah.
Finals, so they really only have to play over their head one time to make the finals.
yeah. So I mean, you could even group them in, but I just, as far as your first statement, I mean, it's clear the Clippers, although the loss last night to Denver kind of changed
Not
things.
good.
Not good. Home loss. They're 4 back. I think what are the Thunder like 6.5 back at the Spurs? 7. They play them 3 times, but I don't really see them passing San Antonio.
We'll go to you, Eric. The Thunder, the best of the pretenders or the least of the contenders?
I'd say the least of the contenders, and I'd actually draw the line at the Thunder. I don't think the Clippers are in the same. Even though the records are close, I don't think they're really in a 7-game series with the Thunder or the Spurs or the Warriors. But yeah, I think that the Thunder probably stands the best chance of going up against the Warriors in a 7-game series, and I guess if you got to lump those 3 together, minus Cleveland, who's a contender on the other side, I'd say the Thunder are the least of those teams. Even though the Thunder probably be favored against the Spurs in a 7-game series.
I don't know about favored. I like them more than when they play the Warriors, but
I like him in a series with the Spurs. But the thing that makes me hesitate to still put the Thunder, I think they are in the contenders group, but I hesitate because when I think about those other 3 teams, it's not just records, and this is something I think we've talked about in here, I think we've talked about other places. Those other 3 teams are about building habits for the playoffs. They are playing now the way you'd want a team to play in the playoffs. And I understand it's a long season. You're going to have downturns. But how many times have we watched a Thunder game and, whether they've eked out a win against a team that they should have beat by 15 or 20 and instead find themselves in a close game, or they lose a bad game like that Cavs game on Sunday, and we just say, where are the good habits? Where is the consistency in this team? And to me, that's really troubling because, maybe you turn it on in the playoffs, but when you're coming up against other teams that all year have been preparing and playing the way they want to play in the playoffs, do you just expect to start beating the Spurs in a series. You'd have to beat, if you're the Thunder, you got to beat the Spurs, Warriors, and probably Cavs in back-to-back-to-back series.
Without home court, probably in all three.
Yeah.
To what do you attribute that, Barry?
Oh, I think some of it is the newness of the coach. I mean, I think some of it is, coming off last year, which was sort of a lost season, and for all the continuity this franchise has had, it doesn't have much from last season to this because last season was such a train wreck. I think some of it was lack of focus after Golden State and San Antonio got off to such historic starts. I mean, we knew by middle of December that the Thunder wasn't going to catch those teams in terms of record. So, I mean, I just think a lot of factors put together just sort of told the Thunder, you know what, you're going to be the third seed no matter what you do, and you're just going to have to, pull a couple upsets come spring. So it shouldn't happen, shouldn't be that way, but sometimes human nature is what it is, and it just sort of works out that way.
You guys want another topic? Or I mean, you're the
We got
lead.
room, we got room
I
for
mean,
one
it's
more.
interesting. We're talking second round, third round. I think it's starting to get to that time of year where we can start talking about first round and
Who you got?
Right now it's the Blazers, which I think is really interesting. That's
The
not even a
Dame.
team we've thought the Thunder could play in the first round, but with the way the Mavericks are sliding, the Grizzlies have injuries, just the Rockets are now 9th seed right now. Is that the worst potential first round matchup for the Thunder?
Yes, perhaps,
Yeah.
because of the outside shooting.
Right.
They're terrible at three-point defense.
And Lillard can get going in a hurry.
They
And
would-
has gotten going in a
Yeah.
hurry
They would-
against these guys.
They'd love to
no
play
doubt.
Dallas. I mean, they poked the Mavericks. They'd love to play Memphis, especially without Gasol.
You'd love to play Memphis.
Well,
You'd love to see
I
them
like
play
Memphis, but Portland's sort of a wild card. They'd love to play Utah because Utah's a terrible matchup when they play the Thunder. I mean, the Thunder dominates Utah, but Portland's a wild card because of Lillard and McCollum, and those guys are just playing so unbelievably above their status that you're not sure what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Eric, the worst possible matchup or the best possible matchup would the Blazers be for a Thunder team that's trying to clarify its mind and focus and get ready to go defend the Warriors maybe?
It might be an eye opener if the Blazers come in chucking threes and the Thunder say, "Hey, we got to get better at our 3-point defense." I mean, they beat them in a series. They just bully them around on the inside. But if they got a team like that, it might make them a little bit more aware of, hey, look, we gotta tighten up on the 3-point defense. I mean, we saw the Mavericks go off on them last night in the third quarter. So it might be one of those things where it might be something good for them in the first round.
Might be time for Darnell Mayberry's chart of all the guys who get career highs on the Thunder. Get that one out, Darnell. Get started. We need to publish that one soon. Hey, that's all for this edition of Thunder Thursday, but you can stay with the best coverage team anywhere, every day at News OK and every morning in the Oklahoman.
Thank you. See ya.